So, hello everybody. Today is the 31st of December. I was just going to say January. No, it's not yet. And it's the last day of the year. And I just wanted to talk to you briefly about a game night that I attended last night. And I got to play a number of games that I'd never played before. And so I thought, I don't have anything to show. I don't have the games myself, so I can't do a component overview, but I can tell you a little bit about what the games are like, which games we played, and what I thought about them. So first of all, the number of players last night was 6. So there were 2 girls and 4 guys. And we played one longer game and a couple of shorter games, which I would call filler games, and then another longish game. So we started the evening by playing zombie dice. That's a filler game. I mean, that's like 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how many people play. And it's a push your luck dice game. So what you get is you get a box of dice. Well, it looks like a tube, and it contains 3 different types of dice: red, green, and yellow. And on those dice, you have different icons. You have brain icons, you have gunshot icons, and you've got footprint icons. And the idea is, and they're different colors, so 3 different colors and different numbers of each color. And the idea is that each player tries to get 13 brains, not in one round, but as the game progresses, basically you keep score of how many brains you have scored. And how you play is you basically use the tube to mix up the dice, and then you take out 3 dice and you roll them, and then you count what you get. So if you get 3 gunshots, you're out for this round, you're dead. If you get 3 brains, then that's brilliant, you keep them. And I believe you can re-roll if you want to, but as soon as you get 3 gunshots, what's going to happen is you're going to forfeit anything that you have rolled this round. So you kind of want to gamble a little bit on this. And if you've got footprints, then you can either re-roll this die and additional dice, or you don't re-roll. It's up to you. So basically this progresses around the table, and everybody tries to get as many brains in one go as possible, always checking, okay, well, I've already got 3 green dice, so the chances of me getting another 3 green dice from the box is decreasing. Or I've already got 3 red dice, so if I pull out any more, they will probably be green, so my chances of getting brains are much higher. So basically you're trying to mitigate the risk, push your luck, gamble, and you try to get up to 13 brains, and the person who gets 13 brains wins the game. And it can be played, I don't know how many rounds we played. I think I actually ended up winning, but that was basically pure luck. I mean, there isn't very much strategy involved, except, okay, will I keep going? Won't I keep going? And I think the whole thing was over in 10 minutes because we were still waiting for another player to arrive, so we thought this was a brilliant game. So Zombicide, Zombie Dice is a game that I can recommend if you have people who, are into playing with dice, dice rolling, push your luck, then that's a really good game. I don't know how much it is. I don't know who publishes it, but it was a really good game. Then, when all 6 of us were finally at the table, we pulled out Betrayal at the House on the Hill, sorry, 2nd edition. And that is a game which apparently is a reincarnation of an older game, probably by Avalon Hill. I'm not sure. The original was probably by Avalon Hill, and it was kind of, people weren't very happy about it. But the new incarnation apparently is much better. The way this works is each player gets 1 character that they choose. I think there is a maximum of 6 characters, but each character sheet is double-sided, so if you want to, you can actually change the game by using different characters. You've got a game board that you develop and explore as you play, so it's a little bit like games like Wrath of Ashardalon or Drizzt, Legend of Drizzt, those D&D based modular or even Descent, Journeys into the Dark kinds of games where you have tiles and you reveal them as you move through the house on the hill. And basically, as you move through the house and you reveal tiles, you all have different stats. You have might, speed, sanity, and knowledge, I believe. So 2 brain stats and 2 body stats. And for example, the speed basically does what it says on the tin and what you would expect. Depending on what your speed is, this is the number of tiles you can possibly move. And as you reveal tiles, things can happen to you. You can get an omen tile, which means that the doom track, if you like, advances. You can get an item, or you can get an event. And well, as you can imagine, this is a haunted house, so some of the events are not really very good for you, but they're very good for the house. And whenever the doom advances, what happens is you start at, I think, doom 0, then you advance to 1 when the first doom card is revealed, and then you have to roll 6 dice. Now the dice are custom made, so you have, I think, each die has 2 sides that are completely blank, which count for 0, 2 sides that have a 1 on it, and 2 sides with a 2 on them. And you roll 6 dice. So, and you have to roll above the doom. And if you roll below it, the haunt starts. So basically, I think our haunt started on the 5th or 6th doom movement. And basically, I actually triggered it because I drew a doom card, and then I didn't roll over the doom amount that was on the slider, and basically from then things happen. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happens when the haunt happens, but first a little bit about the exploration. The exploration actually works really, really quickly. The game plays very fast. There isn't a lot of thinking when you look at stats and rolling dice according to those stats. It's very easily done. So for example, you enter a room and it says, well, this room is full of junk, so in order for you to leave the room again, you have to test your speed or your might, and you have to roll a 3+ on whatever your stat is. So if your stat is 4, you roll 4 dice, you need to get a 3 or higher. So this is basically how the game plays. I drew a couple of cards that gave me additional bonuses to my stats, so I could increase them. Another girl, she drew a dog, which is quite good because the dog can carry things for you, so it can get items for you, it can fetch items for you or take them away from you and give them to somebody else, so that's really handy, or as it turned out later on, it was really handy. And then basically the haunt started. Now the haunt is a story, and the game itself combines the board with a story booklet that you have to read. So basically, when the haunt starts, a story is triggered, and there is a matrix which you can use to trigger the story. I think it's a combination of the item or card that was found and the room that you found it in, and then depending on the combination, a different story is triggered. And that's where the betrayal comes in, because in this game you have a traitor, but you don't know who the traitor is. So unlike Battlestar Galactica, where you may know it from the very beginning, or Shadows over Camelot, where you have a betrayer element, or Dead of Winter, where you know from the very beginning if you're the traitor or not. Here it gets revealed during the haunt phase. Now the haunt that we got, and spoilers, is a haunt where you are trapped in the house, and each of us gets a collar, which when it's triggered actually slices off our heads. So quite gruesome. And what happens is to solve this problem and to free ourselves, the players have to find keys, and you need 2 keys to free yourselves per person. And once you've used 2 keys, they're gone. You can't reuse them. So then the keys are placed in different rooms. Some of these rooms have not even been revealed at the time of the haunt happening, so we also had to keep exploring, and you have like 1 hour. So the game then basically has an automated timer. Each person in this case got a token with a number between 1 and 6. So we had 6 tokens: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And each time it was my turn, because I had basically launched the haunt, I had to roll a die. So the doom advanced from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. And when it went from 1 to 2, everyone who had the token 1 and 2 had to roll. And they had to roll over 2. When we came to the third round, over 3, and so on and so forth. And if you didn't manage to roll over this particular number, your collar would trigger. But while you're setting up the haunt, we also got one token which we had to keep face down, and we had to look at it, and the person with the token with the number 1 in it was the traitor, and everybody else wasn't. But of course you only know what you yourself are, you don't know anything about the other people. So that's basically what happened. So we kept exploring, we kept taking keys, we basically gave keys to one another. We used the dog, which we had found to great advantage. And in the end, 3 people died, 3 people survived, so we won the game, but the problem was also the traitor survived. We didn't find out who the traitor was until after the game, and everybody, I mean, a lot of people thought that I was the traitor, although a friend of mine said, when Gesina's the traitor, she talks a lot, so she's not saying anything, so she can't be the traitor. So he thought it was actually a friend of mine sitting next to me, but I thought, this guy can't be the traitor, I believe it's him. So it was really interesting, and it turns out that the traitor actually thought about killing me. And the way killing works is player versus player. You meet on the same tile, and then you engage with the other person using your might stats, and then you just roll. So it didn't get that far. The traitor would have won if he had managed to kill, or she in this case had managed to kill one of the survivors. In the end, there was 3 survivors. I was one of them. The guy next to me on the left was also one of them, and the traitor. But the traitor lost because we had 50% survivors at the end of the game when everybody's collar had been removed. So it was a really fun game. I don't know how long it lasted, maybe 50 minutes or so. And it plays very fast. And it is very immersive. I mean, we were really kind of like speculating, okay, who could be the traitor? What should we do next? Where should we go? What's the best strategy? And I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I can recommend it. I don't know, I think you probably need at least 3 people to play it. I would say we played with 6 players. That was an optimal range. I don't know if it would be as fun if you had fewer players. Let's say, I would say 4 would be important to me to get the most out of the game. I don't think it works with 2. I don't even know what the minimum number of players is. I didn't look at the box, but playing it with 6 was great fun. Then we moved on to a card game called Coup, which I'd never heard anything about. And that's basically a game of bluff. So how this works is you have... we played first without the expansion and then with the expansion, but the play is pretty much the same. I think you have 5 different roles, and you have a Contessa, you have a Captain, you have a Duke, Contessa, Duke, Ambassador, Captain, Assassin. Yeah, I think it's 5. Yeah, I think you have 5 different roles, and they come as cards. And each person at the beginning of the game gets 2 coins, money, and 2 cards. And the cards that you have different abilities. For example, the assassin does just that. If you pay 3 coins, you can kill someone. That is, you remove one of their cards unless they can block it. The Contessa can block an assassination attempt. The Captain, I think, can steal money. The Ambassador can get cards from the deck. Draw additional cards and then exchange them. But at the end of the day, you never have more than 2 cards, and if you have 0 cards on your hand, you're dead. And basically the idea is for you to be the last man or woman standing with at least 1 card, and nobody else has any cards left. So you can do this by assassinating people if you have the assassin, or if you don't have the assassin, you can pretend to have the assassin and bluff. But then people can challenge you and say, well, I'm assassinating you, and then you come back to me and say, well, actually, I challenge that. So if I then have the assassin, I show the card to you, I have to put down the card and get a different one, but the other one loses one card, the assassination succeeded. Or I say, okay, I've got the assassin, I assassinate you, but you say, I've got the Contessa, and then we can do one of two things. Either we just leave it at that, nobody does anything, or I say, well, I want to see the Contessa that you say you have. If they have the Contessa, and if I have the assassin, then the assassination attempt fails. We both drop the cards, and we get one new one each. Or no, I think actually if you fail the assassination, you don't get to draw another one, but the person you were trying to assassinate gets another one. So basically you're down by one card. And then you can also attempt a coup. If you've got 7 coins, you may attempt a coup, which is basically you say to somebody, okay, I'm going to make a coup attempt, and this cannot be blocked. So basically you choose one player and they lose one card. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get everyone else to lose as many cards as possible by challenging them, by bluffing, by assassinating them, by instigating coups against them, so that you are the only person who's got a card left. I think we played 4 rounds, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. I'm not very good at this, I have to say, but it's just a fun game, you know, and it plays really quickly, and yeah, I mean, I think I won 1 round and I lost 3, but it's just a game that plays really quickly, and if you're into this bluffing thing, then that's definitely for you. And I have to say, I love the artwork. It's beautifully executed. It's lovely. It's full color cards, and they only have the image of the character, the assassin, the Contessa, the captain, whatnot. And then on the bottom, it just says in very small print what this character actually can do. And then you also have a player aid. Each player gets a little card, 2-sided, which explains what each character can do and also what you can get, like in terms of money. Because for some of the things you have to pay. So you have to pay if you want to assassinate somebody, you have to pay if you want to stage a coup. And then, once this was over, we played a longish card game called Cards Against Humanity. Now, I'd heard about this game, but I'd never seen it played. I knew nothing about it except that it's a card game, and I had no idea what the game is about, how it plays, nothing. I also have to say I've never played Apples to Apples or Dixit or any of these games, so I can't compare it to anything. And I would say that there are a couple of things about it. Number one, it's definitely not for children. I think it should only be played by adults, simply because the content is quite adult. And I'm going to say now, I'm going to say a couple of things which are tastelessly offensive in this video, following on from this point. So you might want to watch it or, you know, turn it off. The idea behind the game is, and it's really an ingenious idea in that it's so simple. The game comes with 2 types of cards, black cards and white cards. So I don't know, I think they had expansions as well, but we had a stack of white cards, which, well, was really, really high. I don't know how many hundreds of cards. And then a stack of black cards, which is still very high, but smaller. So each player draws 10 cards, and you don't share them. You don't show them to anybody. And then once a round, basically this can circulate, or you can do it differently, but we made it so that basically it circulated. One person is the first player, if you like. So they draw a black card, and the black card is a sentence usually. Something like, when I went to Amsterdam, or I came back from Amsterdam and I brought back with me a blank. And it could be anything. So the other players have to now look at their 10 cards, which they've got, and check which of the cards they would put down to complete the sentence. Now, the stuff that you see on the white cards and also on the black cards is, I would say, tastelessly offensive. And that may sound like I didn't enjoy the game, but I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was a really fun game. I'm going to say something about who you should play this with at the end. But when we take the Amsterdam example, and this was an example that came up last night, you have to put down a card that completes this. And the idea is that the person who has the black card and revealed the black card then decides which of these proposals completes the sentence in the best way. And the best way isn't the most logical way, because some of the sentences are just basically completely illogical. They don't make any sense. Funniest, dirtiest, depending on how you want to play it. And then they award the black card to whoever placed the white card that the person chose, the first player chose to complete the sentence. And if one person gets 10 black cards, they win. So basically with the Amsterdam one, just to give you an example, and this is absolutely tasteless, so one person put down a white card saying Madeleine McCann. Now, Madeleine McCann, as you may or may not know, is a girl who was allegedly abducted by person or persons unknown in Portugal, I think in 2006. She was 4 or 5 years old, and her parents are still looking for her. It's a terrible story. The body was never recovered. Nobody really knows what happened to her, if she's still alive, if she's not, if she's dead. Nobody has found her. It's a really, really horrible story. So the fact that they actually printed her name on one of those cards is in and of itself, of course, completely tasteless. And of course, then when you say, okay, I went to Amsterdam and I brought back Madeleine McCann, it triggers all kinds of associations, you know. So, and this is tasteless, but there are much worse cards in there. So it's a fun game. If you're into that kind of thing, you should be interested in, well, you know, you should have a sense of dark humor. And I would suggest don't play it with colleagues. Don't use it as a team building activity. Don't play it with children. Play it with people where you kind of, who know you well enough to know that if you put down a certain combination of cards, you're playing a game. You're not representing what you're really thinking. There was one card which was, in a world ravaged by blank, the only way to survive is blank. So I looked at my hand, and the only two cards that, you know, like even from a grammatical sense, fit in were black people and repression. So I put it down as, in a world ravaged by repression, the only way to survive is black people. Or you could turn it around. In a world ravaged by black people, the only way to survive is repression. That is not what I think. This is not what I would ever say, and this is not me at all. But, you know, you're playing a game. So, you know, there was one card which was very innocent. It was just scouts. Another one was just centaurs. I had a card that was just centaurs. I never used it because it just didn't make any sense to use it anywhere. So, but the thing is, they're just basically completely mixed up, so you have no idea what you're going to get. So I would suggest that if you think about playing this game, be very careful who you play it with. I wouldn't recommend it as a party game because you have no idea how people will feel about certain things. I mean, we played it and we had, you know, boatloads of fun. But I would also say that I would play it with this group, but I know a lot of people that I would play games with, but I wouldn't play this game with. So what can I say? It was a really great gaming evening. We basically then finished with this game, and I think it was 20 to 11 by the time we finished. We started at 7, so it was quite a long game evening, and we got to play 4 different games. We were also thinking about playing Pandemic, but then we realized it's maximum 5. I think Pandemic Legacy or something, some kind of expansion or what have you, but it only allows for 5 players. So we decided not to play it. And we also had Small World, which is also 5 players max, and we just looked at the components for the Pandemic version that this guy had brought, and it was a really lovely one where you have petri dishes that contain the chits and everything. So I really liked the components there. I've never played Pandemic. I hear it's one of the best games ever, but you know, there will always be another time. And then Small World, which seems to be, or he explained it to us, it's like Risk but different. So again, there will be another time for that. So basically that's my concluding remarks for the year 2015, gaming related year 2015. And I wish you all a very happy new year. As we say in German, guter Rutsch. So hopefully you make it really, you make it across the divide between the 2 years well. Nothing happens to you. The tree doesn't burn down. You don't blow your fireworks up in your hands, which unfortunately happens all the time. I'm very, very happy that in Ireland fireworks are forbidden because a lot of people get, injured every year in Germany, where everyone can buy fireworks, and unfortunately a lot of people even make their own, and loads of people explode in their garages because they have been tampering with highly explosive stuff that they got from a shop. So all the best. I'll talk to you again in the new year, and thanks for watching this year. Thanks for your support. Thanks for all of your subscriptions, and thanks for all of the lovely comments I've been getting. And yeah, there will be more gaming and more chits and more cats and more keeps, and probably cats and calculus as well at some point. Bye.